Exes, today's episode is one that's really close to home for me. She has become my guide, my healer, my way to light through so many dark places during my life the past few years. If you are a believer in tarot, if you are a believer in spirit, this is an episode you're not going to want to miss. I have today with me in studio my very dear friend and professional tarot card reader, Justiana Love. Justiana, this time it's been long overdue, girl, to
Yeah,
have you in the studio with me.
yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I get so excited about my guests, but man, today I was like on cloud nine to have you
Aw,
here.
thank
You
you.
have played such a huge role, a vital role in my life the last 6 years.
Wow.
And you saw this podcast. The cards showed this podcast
Yes.
2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were doing that reading with me, I will never forget. I literally looked at you and said, "You're crazy." Like, I am not going to be starting my own business. I don't see what the cards are talking about. And you just said, well, that's what it's saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I think from the beginnings, some of the first readings you had, it kept on mentioning doing something of your own. And you were
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I don't think so. I said, well, maybe later on.
Mm-hmm.
I said, maybe later on, sometimes things don't happen right there and then when you get the readings.
Yes.
And then I remember maybe like a few years after when you were like, hey, I've got this idea, can we check it?
Yes.
And the cards looked really good for you.
And the cards have just kept showing
Yes.
so many positive things. Nothing
Yes.
negative has ever come up
Right.
in my readings regarding this podcast.
Yes.
And it's just, I am such a huge believer in tarot. I think you and I spoke about this in the very beginning of our friendship because that's
Mhm.
literally what it is now. I
Yes.
feel like I lean on you for therapy with readings, but also now knowing your background since we are friends and you've
Mhm.
opened up to me about your why on going into tarot,
Yeah.
I do really want to dive into that. I feel like you've helped me so much and you know everything there is to know about my life. You were there with me in the very beginning of my court process of my divorce.
Yes.
So, man, you've been through it with me like a
Yes.
therapist would
Oh,
be.
thank you.
And
Yes.
even though the timing may not be in order, the actual events that the cards and the readings have
Mhm.
shown have all come true.
Yeah.
And I get goosebumps even admitting that because I was not a believer for a very long time. I believed in psychics, clairvoyance,
Mhm.
that side of things I believed in. I always, thought that tarot was just,
Yeah.
not real.
Not real. Yeah. I think, that happens a lot because I think people are just maybe scared sometimes
Hmm.
of, the occult or the symbolism or, opening portals and things like that. Or sometimes, we just try to think like, oh, that's not true. I mean, how is a card really gonna, tell me something about my life? Um, I mean, I've been a believer for many years,
Right.
even before I got into doing this as a career. And I've seen so many things happen. And to now, I feel like whenever I see certain cards show up for my clients, I just know something really good is going to happen later on, or
Right.
they're going to be changing and things like that. And I remember just from seeing your cards over time, and I think that's the neat thing also when clients become long term because you can start seeing certain things and you're like, oh, this person's almost there, or I know they're going somewhere, they're going to be somewhere. And you just had really good cards when you asked about certain things, like, hey, I've got this idea and I'm thinking about this, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I've seen this before. I think this is really
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
No, it has been such a cool journey to share with you. And for us to have that as something that we share as friends is to
yes,
see this journey play out the way it has. And for
yes.
me to feel so like validated
Mm-hmm.
by all the readings that I've ever had with you. Now, take us back to the very beginning. I
Okay.
know your background is in entertainment.
Yes.
So, how did you throwing yourself in tarot become your full time career?
Yeah. So, when I was working in the entertainment, specifically in the radio broadcasting side of things, and I had told a coworker there, you know, um, I said, I know how to do tarot because something was happening. Sometimes people are like, oh my God, am I going to get let go? Like, what's
Yes.
going on? And
There was an energy shift.
yeah, there was an
Mhm.
energy shift, and I saw her frustration, and I felt comfortable enough to tell her, and she's like, "Oh my God, you do?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay." She said, "I'm having people come over my house on this day." She said, "My best friend is coming," and then, okay, cool, bring the cards. So I brought the cards, and she was there, and her friends, and I remember that day, one of her friends had a card that showed a loss in the family.
Mhm.
A lot of time, well, now over time, I sometimes don't like to, mention loss to people because I feel it's just so, it's so personal, and I don't want anyone like thinking about it like that.
Right.
But in this particular case, and I was just so, fresh to it than like, reading others. And I remember, and it showed a loss to her friend. I said, there's a loss, I said, I don't know when, I don't know who. Um, and it ended up being that like a few months after that, she did have a loss, in her
Wow.
family. And so that kind of started going around,
Right.
at work, like, oh my God, she said,
Justiana saw
yeah,
this.
she saw this. And then I think somebody had asked about, getting a new contract at work that night, and it ended up happening for them. And so a few weeks later, I don't remember the time frame. I just know that I remember the producer of one of the morning shows. He came up to me and he said, "Hey," he's like, "I heard you do tarot readings." And I said, "Yes." And then he was like, "Well, you know what?" He's like, "We always use people to do that here." He's like, "And we need someone," he said. And he said, "Not that we don't have people, on our roster that we
Right.
usually call." He said, "But we kind of want to try someone new."
Right.
And he said, "Are you interested?" He said, "I'm just going to tell you up front." He said, "If you screw up, they're going to call us. The callers are going to tell us." And I said, "Okay." And he's like,
No pressure.
no pressure. Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. And he says, "Well, how about this Thursday?" Mind you, it was like a Tuesday. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure." And they put me in, and I remember I said to him, "Okay, no legal stuff." I
Mhm.
said, "No illnesses." I said, "None of that stuff." I said, "How about just love?"
Right.
And he was like, "Okay." He's like, "That's actually cool." He said, "Let's just turn it into a love segment, and people," and that's how it started.
Okay.
That's how it started. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you just started building a clientele from there, and then you were able to venture off and start your own business.
Yes. Well, when I first started, that same producer one day after the show, he was like, "You know what?" He said, "You have something really good." He was like, "Do not let this opportunity go." He said, he was like, "Have you thought about opening up a website?" And I was like, "No, I don't know."
Mhm.
And then, the main talent of the show, he said the same thing to me one day too. He was like, "You know what?" He said, radio, it comes in waves.
Right.
He said, "You know what?" And he's like, "We're in a really good moment right now." He said, "And we don't know what's going to happen later." He
Right.
said, "Turn this into something."
Mhm.
So then I had two people, that were already
It's a
doing
sign.
yeah. And I thought, you know what? I thought they're right. So I opened up a website one day, and I'm talking about like probably the worst website ever.
Super janky.
Super janky, like Justiana, .com or something tarot. And I don't even know how I added I added a PayPal link to it.
Right.
And, and then I said, "Hey, it's me, da da da, you can email me your questions." And then out of nowhere, one day, I remember I was like, "Oh, let me go see if someone," girl, I had like 600 or 800 bucks on there of people waiting for me to respond to their questions. And that I was like, you know what? I thought, I've got something here. I
Wow.
have something here. So I was, at the time, I was working, full time in the radio.
Mhm.
But, schedules are kind of, it's full time, but you're there like early mornings, and,
Yes.
you're on production. So I had my evenings, free. And then I was like, you know what? I thought this is perfect. I'm
Yeah.
just going to do this.
Yeah.
And I started doing that. And then once the production was over a few years later, I mean, the only thing I kind of had left was, tarot.
Right.
I already had clients and that's really how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
The fact
Yeah.
that you're a single mom too and you're such a hustler
Yes.
mentality, I love that so much about you. And I think that's another reason why I love getting readings done by you is because you've really gone through a lot in your own personal journey
Yes.
and I trust you.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
I think finding a tarot reader, someone that it's like building a relationship with somebody.
It
I feel
is.
like you either are going to connect on
Mm-hmm.
that level or you're not going to feel a connection.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of tarot card readers out there. I know it's a big thing on social media, especially Instagram.
Yes.
Sometimes I will forward you random, posts that are going viral of other tarot card readers that go on there and talk
Yeah.
about Aquarian energy and all the things. And I'm like, Justiana, this is so me.
Yeah.
But I have such a kinship with you. And the way that I met you to me was just divine intervention. Meeting you through someone who I told to, I am like, I'm not a believer. And she's like,
Mhm.
just give Justiana a chance, you'll be a believer.
Yeah.
And I was so desperate for support, direction, guidance, because I was literally going through the fight of my life in the courts.
Yes.
And it was just the beginning of the divorce and a divorce that lasted way too long that I think I really leaned on tarot
Mhm.
as a little bit of a spirit guide
Yeah.
in some respects. And the thing that I appreciated so much about you is yes, there were so many good readings, but you're always very honest with me
Mhm.
about things that were also not so great. And
Yes.
I think that's the beautiful part of tarot if you're getting it read or you're having it done with a professional that actually has a gift and not someone that's just taking you for money and saying that they're a reader.
Right.
There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And now throwing my whole existence into tarot and being such a big believer in it because of what I've seen it do for me,
Mhm.
you have to really find somebody that's in it for the right reasons.
Right. Yeah. And just like you said, you really have to connect. And I think it
Mm-hmm.
might take a few tries sometimes, with like different readers.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you might not, connect with that person and then you're kind of like, oh, I don't know. And then you might meet someone else and you're just like, oh my God, I really love how I'm connecting with this person. I know even for me, on the other side as
Right.
a client myself, I've had different readers,
Mm-hmm.
throughout my life. People that I met, people that my grandmother used to go to.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's how I developed so much respect for
Because you were
the
around it.
craft. I was around it. My
Mm.
grandmother was a true believer, but and she always did it for like, she wanted to know if her kids were going to be well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, is this person going to find a job soon? Is this person going to get married soon? Is this person, are they going to be able to work out like their relationship, and so to me, I learned to do tarot with respect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't um I'm not so into all the trends that are right now with tarot. I respect people that do them, but it's just not my style.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one day you brought something up, and I really liked that because you said, I almost feel, you said like you're kind of very secret with what you do.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
You don't market yourself the
Yeah.
way some of these other tarot card readers do.
Yeah.
And I always respected that about you.
Yeah.
And that's why I always believe in your gift because I know you're genuinely doing it from a place of love. You're
Yes.
not doing it for a place of wanting clicks, likes, and follows. And
Yeah.
that's the reason why I think I've stayed with you for so many years is I know at the core of why you do this is because you believe in your craft
Thank you.
and you have really educated yourself in your craft.
Hmm.
And I do believe that there are a lot of non believers, like you and I have spoken about
Right.
regarding tarot. I think from what I've heard from some religious groups, it's black magic or it's witchcraft or
Yes.
you're opening up that door to evil. And personally, I am not a believer in that. Tarot has been a beautiful thing in my life, but I
Yeah.
also do believe, too, it has to do with the style of which the tarot
Right.
card readers performing their gift. And you have said to me numerous
Mm.
times that you don't call on certain. So can we talk about that?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
you actually run your craft and things within your practice that you will do and that you won't do?
Yes. Yeah. So I usually do not call upon like, entities and things
Hmm.
like that. And I know people do. And, I try to respect everyone's beliefs, regardless if they respect mine or not.
Right.
I usually don't work like that. I kind of just, I always ask the person, what their question is. And I take out my cards just based on that person's energy,
Right.
or how the cards show up for that person. But yeah, there are people that maybe their style of reading is more like summoning,
Hmm.
or some people channeling. Some people, they talk more through like spirit. There's different types of readings that people can get. I do feel that a lot of times, I mean, tarot, it's just a tool itself,
Hmm.
and I think some people don't know, like the real meanings. I mean, this has been around for many centuries. It's not like it was born on TikTok or
Hmm.
IG,
Right. Right.
and some people kind of like to turn tarot into like paranormal,
Hmm.
but I don't think tarot is paranormal.
No.
Tarot is just a tool itself. Kind of how, you have people that are really into like a Ouija board. That's a tool itself. Some people like that stuff, but I think with tarot, there's a lot more to it.
Hmm.
There's symbolism to it. There's a lot of theory behind it too. You can study it. You have people they just read intuitively. They might have never really studied it. So I kind of now over the years, I do like to combine it. Like right now, I'm doing this course through. It's a Harvard extension online,
Wow.
and it's a class that it studies everything about like symbolism,
Right.
tarot, just everything related to mysticism.
Right.
And it's a really interesting class because it really takes you all the way back, to where, okay, tarot, it was called tarocchi in Italian,
Hmm.
and so it's very interesting. I mean, I think that there is a lot of religious belief behind it,
Hmm.
and I do feel sometimes people might take it in a way that it's not.
They misconstrue the true meaning
Yes,
behind tarot.
yeah, they really do. Again, it's a tool.
Hmm.
Use it, in a good way. Use it for guidance,
Hmm.
not to control others,
Hmm.
or not to lie to others. I always say what the cards say. And even when I'm reading, I don't want to give my personal opinion because it's really not about me. It's how the cards are showing up for that person in
Hmm.
that moment. I remember years ago, because I kind of went through like a battle, like, do I do this or do I not? Is this good? Oh my God, it's bad. And I think the main reason was because of religion.
See, because your
Yeah.
background is Catholicism, correct?
Catholicism,
Hmm.
yeah, and on my dad's side, they're Christianity. There's been pastors there and everything, so
Hmm.
it was kind of like hard. Like, hey, how do I
Yes.
show up? And
Yes.
I had some family members who blocked me on social media, because they said like, oh, the devil's gonna come get you and things like
Oh
that.
God.
Yet I would never say something like that to anybody,
Right.
at all. And I remember I had a conversation with a priest. Yeah, it was this priest that I think he was from Colombia, and he was like doing a mission here in LA, and I got to talk to him. Such a cool priest. And I was like, "Oh my God, I thought, is he going to think like I'm the devil?" But it was such a good conversation
What did
with
he
him.
say to you about his opinion regarding what you were doing?
Yeah, so he asked me, he said, did you learn it? He said, do you have anyone in your family that, maybe is a reader?
Hmm.
He says, or do you feel that you were just born this way?
Hmm.
So he said, most people will fall in one of those three categories. And I said, no, I said, I have people that like it in my family. I said, but I don't have anybody that practices.
Right.
And so he's like, well, maybe you were born like this, He said, there's people in the church, he said, that have gifts. And he said, the church, doesn't, recognize these tools. Like,
Right.
we don't really,
Support or
we don't support
acknowledge.
exactly. He
Hmm.
said, but we know they exist,
Right.
And he was like, do you do this for fun? And I said, well, I said, I kind of have a segment on air, And he's like,
Wow.
oh, he said, so you do that? I said, yeah. And he said, you know what? He said, he was like, he said, if this is a gift and you were born this way, he said, try to lean on more of like just talking to people with the message that you have. He said, and less of the tools
Right.
over the years, he
Right.
said. And I thought that was a really good, good advice that he
It
gave me.
is.
He didn't, you know, point a finger at me, and he wasn't rude or he wasn't mean or anything like that, and I think the conversation was also not about like, oh, the devil and things like
Right.
that. Because sometimes you come across other people that have like really strong religious backgrounds, but they don't know how to have a conversation with you just about the tool itself,
Right.
because they quickly turn it into trying to convert you into something
Mm-hmm.
that they believe in,
Yes. And
And
I'll be honest with you, and there's going to be a
yeah,
lot of people that watch this that know me that are friends of mine or maybe acquaintances or people that are just followers and exes, but that is the part of religion that I don't like.
right.
I don't like trying to push your opinion and your views on others. If
Yes.
that works for you, great, awesome, I'm happy for you. If it makes you a better person in life, I'm here to support it.
Yeah.
But please don't you dare try
Right.
pushing your opinions onto me because you think your view is the only view. And
Exactly.
sometimes that is the only thing about organized religion that I have a
Yeah.
very hard time with.
Yeah.
Both my parents are very reformed in both their religions. My
Yes.
dad was raised very strict Jewish
Mm-hmm.
his whole life, Ukrainian family. You have a bat mitzvah, you go to temple Wednesdays and Sundays, that's your life.
Yeah.
My mom was raised by nuns,
Wow.
Catholic. I mean, both polar opposite childhoods. The
Yes.
thing that I think has really bonded them is the mutual respect for one another,
Mm-hmm.
but also the sheer fact that they both believe that everyone's allowed to believe in whatever the heck they want.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be pressed upon others.
Yeah.
So when they raised me, and I think that's why I'm so open-minded to spirit and why I'm so open-minded to other different tools and practices, as you say, is because both my parents gave me the ability to choose what I wanted to study, what I wanted to believe in.
Yeah.
My dad never said you're going to be raised Jewish. My mom never said you're going to be raised Catholic because
Yeah.
it was shoved down both their throats growing up that they both rebelled from it. They both
Wow.
rebelled from religion. But at the end of the day, still believe.
Yeah.
Believe in spirit. Believe in being the best possible person you can be, treating others the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
Just basic, human things that we
Yeah.
should all follow every single day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I think that's the reason why I believe so much in being more spiritual than saying that I'm a Christian or I'm a Catholic. And I'm
Right.
not against organized religion at all. Like I said, if that
Mm-hmm.
helps somebody. But at the end of the day, we're allowed to, it's free country. We're allowed to
Yeah.
believe in what we want to believe in. And whatever works for us, no one should judge.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's something that it helps you,
Mm-hmm.
and you use this tool the right way in the sense of like, hey, this gave me some insight, like everything is going to be okay.
Right.
And you're walking around knowing that everything is going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we should have the right to think like that.
Well, and they always say whatever energy you put out in the world comes back to you.
Exactly.
So if you're walking around like doomsday's approaching
Yeah.
and you're negative and you're mean to other people, do you really think you're going to attract healthy energy into your life?
Yeah,
Or,
probably
or
not.
good things?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But I just know that you've always been there for me. And, it's kind of funny. I have to admit this, but my therapist, as you and I were talking off camera, has been like, where have you been? Is everything okay? And I'm like, don't have the heart to tell her because she's a very diehard
Aw.
Christian woman. I don't have the heart to tell her like, yeah, I've just been really relying on my tarot card reader for guidance. But honestly, that's what's worked for me.
Yes.
And I'm not sitting here and we're not sitting here today pressing upon the viewers and the followers that
Yeah.
this is what they should do.
No.
I just want to share something that helped me in my darkest moments.
Yeah.
Because people ask me all the time, what got you through those hard days? What got you
Mhm.
through living in the courts? What got you through believing your daughter was going to be okay?
Yeah.
And literally, it was the readings with you.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank
You know?
Yeah.
And I just adore you so much, and I believe so much in what you do. And one thing that I really love to talk about with you that you said to me, and I just thought this was amazing, and I don't know if other readers with this gift do the same thing you
Mhm.
do, but it says a lot about how much you love your craft, is you have each new deck of cards blessed by a priest. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've had yeah, many of them. I think what happens with that is you want your tool. Well, in my case, right?
Yeah.
Because some people might be like, that's not what
Right.
but I do feel it's a beautiful thing, to have them blessed,
Hmm.
because this is a tool that you're using for work.
Right.
Yeah, so I do feel that it's very important to just kind of put your energy there, and for you to show that you want to use this, in
For light.
for light
Hmm.
and in a way to help others and
Right.
not like, to hurt others.
Right.
Yeah. And there's different types of stuff, and I think there are people that, they have their passion is to dabble more in the darkness,
Hmm.
and kind of like, work on that side.
Right.
And then there's others, of us that we try to, just help
Right.
and guide,
Right.
and also and not manipulate.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think that's very important. Sometimes, I've been seeing lately on threads. I like to see like what the tarot community
I've been
talks about
watching a lot
there.
of the tarot community on threads. That's been quite interesting.
Yeah. And right now, the community is upset about people that, they go from being really good tarot readers on social media to out of nowhere, converting into, religion or
Mm.
something. They switch. And to me, I look at it as this is an industry that can, you can get burnout from this,
Right.
you know?
Because you're taking other people's energies on
Yes.
every time you do a reading with somebody new.
Yes. So I do feel you have to be I mean, some people are only doing it for money
Of
too,
course.
like they're looking at numbers and things like that. So they try to pile in as many clients as they can.
Hmm.
That's going to lead you to burnout
Yes.
quickly
Yes.
because you're not really looking at it as like, hey,
On an individual basis.
yes, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, some people are not thinking, longevity. They're just thinking like I need to get this done right now and I need all these people. And I think like you have to be very, again, respectful of the craft,
Right.
keep learning it,
Right.
but also you have to nurture your clients
Hmm.
too, so they come back. I think I have a lot of long-term clients and I really love that.
Yeah, you
And
do, girl. Every
thank you.
time I have a reading by you, it's you're
Yeah.
always telling me about all your regulars. So,
Yeah.
and I've turned so
Yeah.
many people on to you.
Yeah,
But
thank
I
you.
always tell them, I'm like, I'm not giving you her information. I mean, now I'm blasting you all over social
Yeah,
media.
thank you.
So
It's
now I
okay.
can't keep you as my hidden secret.
Secret.
But yeah, I've only given your information to people that I know will actually like trust you and believe in
Yeah.
you and support your craft. I would
Yeah.
never want people to contact you that are going to be bringing darkness to what you do.
Right.
Because what
Yeah.
you do is very bright and beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's
Thank
been
you.
very bright and beautiful in my life,
Thank
you
you.
know? So yeah, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you can be a believer
Hmm.
in a religion, but also be a believer in tarot.
Yeah,
Because like you said, it is just a tool.
it is. And you don't have to take it in as like this is my religion
Right.
when you do it. And I'll tell you a way that you just use it as a tool, even
Mm-hmm.
if you're not a believer.
Mm-hmm.
I have had many clients that they might be looking for a missing person or they might need answers in a case. And I've had clients where what I tell them, they go and they tell that detective. Yeah. Yes. And I remember this one client, this family that I was helping out. I didn't even know that they were going back to tell the detective. But I remember one day the family calls me and they're like, "Hey, we know we just got a reading, but we need another one." And I said, "Okay, that's fine. Like I'm not putting any limits." And they said, the detective that's helping us, with our situation, he's asking, has your guys's tarot reader has she said anything new? She said, so we just want to get another reading and write everything down because the stuff you had told us, it helped them, you know, find
As like a
clues.
lead.
Exactly.
Hey Xy's, it's your girl Lauren, and I just am here to say I appreciate all the love and support. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe so that the podcast can provide you with more valuable and meaningful work to support you on your journey.